Daphne Hazelgrove.
Good evening. I just want to make the point that I'm here to support those people who want to keep our assets for Christchurch, and in particular, water. I'm against the privatisation of water for New Zealand and in Christchurch, of course. Water must belong to the people. It's our life, the basis of people and our food supply. It mustn't be privatised. It can be argued that having a clean water supply piped to a city, as it was done last century, and sanitation and the ability to wash and have basically clean water is more important and has done more for the health of the public than any medication. So once again, my view is I'm against privatisation of water. Thank you.
The plan as it stands at the moment doesn't propose that we sell set up a company and sell the company to anyone. There was some discussion earlier on in the year about using charging as a mechanism for conservation. We have, at some stage in the future, somebody's going to resent the fact that our generation, put our pristine water on our lawns and showered in it and flushed our toilet with it. It's just, to me, it's extraordinary that we haven't taken stronger measures around the conservation of our pristine water supply that we have here in Christchurch. And I wonder, have you given some thought about how we protect the supply? I agree with you on the privatisation of it, by the way, but the conservation, it's something that I'm grappling with, because the only comparisons that I've seen that actually show how you reduce dependence on the water supply for those basic services is to charge for the extra use of it.
I'm not an expert on how the council would do that and do charging. I know some councils in New Zealand do charge for water, like Dunedin. But I think there's a difference between, well, there is a difference between the council contracting out management of the infrastructure. That's one thing. Privatisation is a completely different thing. And I suppose, without being able to say this is true or not, that charging for the water, making an additional charge for the water, could be done without privatisation. But that's a serious distinction that needs to be
I'm
made.
sort of kind of sidetracking. I'm saying it's a given around the privatisation, but how do we conserve our water?
That's a very good question, and I don't know.
Do you
the
think
answer to
that's a
that.
priority for the council?
Yes, I do.
Right. Great.
I do think so.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Vicky?
Could I just pick up on what you've said here? I don't think there's any proposal whatsoever to privatise water. I think it would be anathema to even contemplate it. But just in terms of the new stadium or the convention centre, the stadium has come up a lot of times. A lot of people have said delay it further. We've already delayed it, I think, 8 years. So a lot of people have said delay it further. I'm assuming you're saying either don't do it or just delay it much further. But the convention centre actually doesn't cost the City Council anything. It's completely built and actually operated not by the council. So there is no cost to the council in that at all. Would you still want it delayed, given that it's completely government or other people funded?
I thought there was a part of it being paid for by central government and another percentage to be paid for by the council.
None by the council.
We have
in the
nothing on
convention
our
centre.
budget for it.
Well, that's a different issue, but in my opinion, I think that it's not a clear asset for the central city. It's an international, more of an attractor for international participation, which is a good look for the city, but to my mind, if it's there, especially earlier than the rebuild, or as an early part of the rebuild, then I don't see how international conferences will benefit Christchurch, because I think that the payment for them will go offshore. Restaurants there will be some restaurants, but how much of a convention centre and a stadium will benefit Christchurch? I think that's overestimated.
We used to have a convention centre.
Yes, I know,
Yeah,
but I think
but the council owned and operated it.
Yeah.
But that's not what's being proposed. So if we delay the convention centre or stop the convention centre from being built, it doesn't take a cent off the budget that we're looking at for the LTP.
Well, I'm happy that it be delayed, if necessary, more.
But it
Because
doesn't.
I'm
It
not
doesn't save
sure.
us any money. I mean, your
Yeah.
views are accepted by a large number of people, but I think it's usually more about the scale of it. I mean, it's just so big, and I
Yeah,
think
I
that
don't-
there's a lot of people who are saying it doesn't need to be that scale.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the plans, and I haven't researched this, but just to me, it doesn't look like something we must have now.
Yeah.
We're not sure what it will be, how beneficial it will be, but we do know that we must have the streets and the water infrastructure and all the rest of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So if it needs to be delayed, fine.
but that's a good, powerful message to end on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. And Spark